Welcome to the motherboard universe. Check this out. Every single PC you've ever touched runs on one ultimate foundation, the motherboard. Think of it as like a glowing city grid from Thrawn, and every skyscraper, every flying car, and every power source, all powered by this board. Without it, it's just a pile of expensive junk. Sounds like sci-fi, but it's not. This is where your journey begins. The motherboard is basically your futuristic hub. There is the form factor, the chipset, the built-in components, and the PCB layers. The form factor, which is what defines the physical size, But think of it like the blueprint. Think of it like the blueprint of the city. And then there's the chipset. The chipset is actually like the motherboard's central communication controller, But think of the chipset like a mayor deciding what tech gets in and what tech doesn't get, And then there's like built-in components, which are like integrated features like the USB ports, the audio jocks, all of that. But think of those components like streetlights and power plants and all these little essential things. And then there is the PCB layers. The PCB layers are like multi-layered printed circuit boards which act like as high-speed data highways, and then imagine them like stacked highways, glowing like neon and moving data at insane speeds. That's the difference between an old chunky town and the mega neon city. Let's talk about form factors. The form factors is like the battle of shapes. Form factors are like car chassis, some have like same engines but different sizes and different styles, Same thing. So what is the AT? What does AT stand for? Advanced technology. And the AT is like the fossil, it's like the old one, like really seen today. No one sees it, no one uses it anymore. And then what is the ATX? Wait, what does ATX stand for? Advanced Technology Extended, correct. So what is the ATX? That's like the king of the road, That's like the dominant standard, offering extensive expansion, Yeah. And then what is the micro ATX? The micro ATX, what does it stand for? Micro Advanced Technology Extended, correct, yeah. So that's like the sporty car, like a small sporty car, like a sporty sedan, because it's smaller, but it's more cost efficient and option and, like for compact builds. That's the micro ATX. And then there's the mini ITX. The mini ITX, what does ITX stand for? Information Technology Extended. Yeah, the mini is like ultra compact, low power, ideal for media centers and small form factors for PCs, And you should think of that like a tiny electric scooter, And then there's things like the propriety. What is propriety, Propriety is like, it's like the specific to certain manufacturers like Dell and HP, and often limiting like upgrade options. That there's a form factor called propriety, guys. And think of it like it's like a locked Tesla charger. It only works in its own world. So in the exam, always think of size, shape, and compatibility. And then there's things like the chipset, which is the CPU's support crew. Here's where it gets wild. The chipset is the CPU's hype squad. Back in the day, you had like a North Bridge and a South Bridge. These are like two different crews. And today the CPU swallowed the North Bridge whole, so that the chipset is like a Java's AI assistant to Iron Man, It decides the speed of your USB, your storage types, and whether you can overclock or push your system into like a stratosphere, That's what the chipset does. So in the present, In the present, it's a motherboard's vital communication hub, controlling how the CPU interacts with the RAM and all the devices. And then there's certain things that are like standard and built-in components in the motherboard. Every motherboard ships with like essentials, like the CPU socket, that is very essential, and the RAM slots. But the extras, such as the USB ports, lighting up the control panel, the audio jacks and for blasting music, Ethernet for plugging into the matrix, and the video ports for multiple displays. Exam tip: you must know which ones are guaranteed, which ones are manufacturer sprinkles. But that means you must know which one comes with the motherboard and which one some manufacturers sprinkles. Some you get, some you don't get. So you must know which ones are guaranteed and which ones are not. Anyways, most of them is the CPU. We've listed the essentials. Yeah. So we're moving on to expansion bus and slots, which are the plug-in power. Expansion slots are where you soup up your rig, which is a PCI. PCI is like a dusty old back alley, and the PCIe, that's the high-speed bullet train. Those are the differences between the new, like it's the old version and the latest version. These lanes are tracks like times 1 or times 4 or times 8 or times 16, which that is the newer generation, providing even faster data pathways. And then for a critical exam tip, the physical size of a PCE slot, which is times x16, does not always equal to actual number, but the data lanes available. Always check your motherboard for specifications. You need to know that. Okay, and then it comes to expansion cards. Installing expansion cards, you need to know. It's like a ritual. Step 1, knowledge of the drivers and the compatibility. Step 2, the physical install. You need to power off, anti-static, wrap your hand and set it firm. And then the step 3, these are the drivers, which is the latest stable, which is the rollback, and if it's rollback, if it's curse. But if it's not, you don't have to roll it back if it doesn't have any issues. You just update them if the newer versions are available, and you install the drivers. And then step 4, that's when you verify using the device manager, which is like your futuristic scanner. Do it right and boom, your rig levels up and the merge suit is upgraded. That means after you're done with the verification, you just confirm the proper installation using the device manager throughout, thoroughly testing the components functionality. Then you're done. That's how you install an expansion card. Do you even know how to troubleshoot those expansion cards? When the card goes wrong, they scream with neon icons. No detection, reset, power check, and maybe just run the hdwwiz.exe. That's like a secret command code, which has like a black exclamation mark, and the driver drama. There's the black arrow, which means disabled. Yeah, the black exclamation mark means there's something wrong with the driver. There's drama with the driver, and then the black arrow means something has been disabled or you need to re-able. And then the device manager is like your glowing HUD, HUD telling you what's alive and what's dead. These are all the symbols. Card not showing, the black icon, the black exclamation icon, and the black down arrow. These are all the indications that you'll get, and that's how you'll know how to diagnose the common problems with the expansion card. And then when you have to install or upgrade your motherboard, this is like the biggest boss fight. Firstly, you must be able to match your CPU socket. You must know your RAM type, your form factor, and then your sacred rule, standoffs must align. If the screws that are up, if the screws are up, then boom, short circuit. That's what's going to happen. And always install a CPU or RAM before mounting your motherboard. It's like loading an engine before locking in the frame. Plug in the power, case the headers, fire it up, and if you see the BIOS, victory! The screen has unlocked, And with that, that's how you perform an initial boot. And if the BIOS screen shows up, you see the post card. Post stands for power on self-test card. Yeah, so the card sequence indicating success, and that's when you'll know that you have installed your motherboard successfully. And then when it comes to troubleshooting your motherboards fail in 3 different flavors. There's catastrophic, which means dead, smoke, game over. And then there's the component, which means one feature dies, or maybe the USB, or maybe the SATA. You have to patch with the add-on cards or firmware, And then there's the ethereal, that is like the random crashes, or the ghosts in the machine. Tools are like your postcards and system swaps, swap outs, documentation. You see, on the exam, you must always remember that the expansion card is crystal. Crystal equal to what? Equal to slot speed standoffs. And standoffs are equal to what? Lifesavers. And then the chipset makers are what? Intel and AMD. And then the crazy details, crazier questions. But here's the truth. Master this and you already own the CompTia Plus. You've already owned the CompTia Plus battlefield. This is the future of troubleshooting. So always remember, you use the tools and the tactics, such as utilizing the postcard for initial boot diagnostic, or you employ like a check, replace, verify methodology for system troubleshooting. And then you look at the documents. Always look at the documents, everything you do. And then these are a couple of the predicted questions. Pause the screen, read them, and now you know.